Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a big topic, and it's one of these subjects that, by its very nature, can't be proved or disproved, right? We
Yeah.
don't know. The fact of the matter is, we don't know what would have happened in the 19th century and into the early 20th century if anti-slavery movements had not arisen at the end of the 18th century, if the British slave trade had not been abolished in 1807, if there had not been an international movement to suppress the slave trade through the first half of the 19th century. I mean, we don't know. And it's important to kind of start from that position. I've taken the view that the things that did happen that led to slave trade abolition and emancipation, given where the world had been in the 18th century, that the changes in the 19th century were not only not inevitable, but they were actually very unlikely. And I ground that in the economic strength of the Atlantic slave trade and the economic value of slavery in the 19th century, even in the face of abolitionist and emancipationist movements. There's no record, at least that I'm aware of slave traders or slave-holding societies just saying that they had had enough and they weren't gonna do this anymore. Slaving is as old as human history,
Yeah.
and I think we tend to forget that it was a norm rather than an exception. It took different shapes in different times, and so what happens in the ninth and then this is sort of big picture, but what happens in the 19th century, I really think is quite unusual,
Wow.
and I don't think it's the natural consequences of either economic forces or cultural, forces.